Hi, my name is Amy from Stampin' Stuff, and today I'm going to show how I covered these books. These are just hardcover books, and I've covered the sides with some calico, and on the other side here I've covered them with wallpaper. These are just wallpaper samples, so you can get small samples from, I know in Australia you can get them from Masters, I'm not really sure where else, but I brought home a few samples because I wanted to wallpaper a wall, and I didn't end up finding a design that my husband liked, so I have covered some books with them instead. And there's some really beautiful ones. This one here's got some really nice texture to it. So the first thing to do is take the dust cover off your book, and then just open it out and take a craft knife and see where your book comes together in here, and we're just going to start cutting, and don't cut too deep to begin with, because you don't want to cut too much into the spine if you can help it. And we want to slowly just bring that book apart. So as you can see here, the spine is starting to come away from the text. Okay, and then you just repeat that on the other side until this whole text section can be lifted out. Okay, so I have my whole text block out of the book now, and as you can see here, I accidentally cut in to the book cover a little bit, so I just thought I'd show how I fixed that. Now I have done that on a couple of books. Some books are easier to get apart than others. So I just have a scrap bit of paper and some Mod Podge, and I'm just going to glue that piece of paper over that little, cut. Doing a pretty rough job, but it doesn't really matter. The book's going to be covered pretty heavily with the wallpaper and the material, so I don't think it's not going to lose any of its structural integrity. So that will just hold it together for you while you cover it. Depending on what you cover the side of the book with, I used calico. You may need to undercoat, put a bit of a similar undercoat on the book. I'm just going to use soft moss. It's a Kaiser paint, because when you hold the calico over the black, you can see a bit of black through it, and I actually want it to look a little bit more like this colour. So I'm trying to sort of match the colour underneath it a little bit. So I'm going to take some paint and just paint all the areas where you're going to be putting the calico. Doesn't need to be great painting, and it doesn't need to be completely covered either. It just has to cover a majority of the black. Okay, and I'm just going to repeat that on the other side and then give it one more coat and let it dry. Now that my paint is dry, I'm just going to take some fabric glue and put a bead onto this painted area. And I like to spread it out with my finger, because when you press fabric into fabric glue, if it's a little bit sort of woven like calico isn't, you can see it comes through, like here if you've got it too thick, and that tends to stay there. So I like to spread it out to make sure I don't get too many big blobs. So I'm going to do that on both sides. The reason I alternate between sides like this is because I like to let it dry before I move on to the next bit. I don't like it moving around on me, so that's reasonably dry. It's a pretty hot day, so smooth it out. Okay, and next I'm going to take a ruler and I'm going to trim off the corners. So I'm just going to measure it back. I think it's 1/8 of an inch, and draw a line. And you'll see that line, there's a bit of an overhang there. I need just a little bit of overhang. If you cut it back too short, you'll end up having exposed corners. So I'll do the same with the other side. Then take a pair of scissors and cut that excess off. Okay. Now I'm going to put some glue on one of the short edges and all over the corner. Fold that up. Then right on the corner, I'm going to fold this little excess bit in. Okay, I'll bring that closer. Where are we? So I don't know if you can see it there, but the excess little bit of the corner there has just been folded in. Okay, hopefully you saw it in there. So I'm going to do the same to the other side. Then fold that little excess bit in. And I'm just going to hold it until it dries. Now I want these little corners to be dry before I move on to this piece. So I'm just going to go ahead and start the other side and wait for those to dry. So next I'm just going to put some glue all over this piece. And fold it up. Oops, throwing my glue away. And then you can also put a little bit on these excess bits as well. Okay, and repeat that for the other side. Now if you do find that your corners stick out a little bit, see how that's not quite sharp, just take a flat tool like a bone folder and just rub it up against the corner, and that will flatten it out. Okay, so that looks a lot sharper now. My side's finished. I'm just going to take a piece of wallpaper and find the centre. So all I did was I folded each end over here and gave it a little pinch, and then just drew a line from each of those pinched ends so I know where the centre is. And find the centre of your spine. So when you glue the front and line it up, it will be pretty straight. Okay, so I'm just going to take some fabric glue again, and I tried this with Mod Podge, and Mod Podge is a bit wet. It makes the wallpaper crinkle a little bit. So I worked out the fabric glue is what I like best for this one, and I'm going to just make sure I have the front where I want it. Then place that spine down and line up the marks you made on the spine to the paper. And press that down. Next I'm just going to peel this wallpaper back, and I'm just going to fill glue into that little groove. See that little groove there? I'm going to just put glue in that bit only. Okay. And then I'm going to take a little piece of dowel, and you can just use a paintbrush or a pencil or something like that, whatever you have lying around. I just happen to have a piece of dowel on my bench. And just press it into the groove and then let that dry. So once I've pressed on it for a minute or so, I can let go and then go do the other side. But yeah, let that dry before you move on to the next part. So I'm back on the other side now, and I'm just going to lift this up. I really need to get another glue. And then put glue all over the rest of the wallpaper. Try and spread it out a little bit. And just press that down. And repeat with the other side. Now I've turned it over back onto the other side, and I have a new glue, so that should work, but it's not. Oh, there we go. I'm just going to spread a bit of glue out on the excess wallpaper. Just going to spread it around with my finger a little bit. Then fold that over. And press it down nice and smooth. And just try, as it's drying, just to press it into these little areas around the spine, because I did find that some books, if you leave it too bulky here, some of the text bundles, like the pages, don't fit back in, and they sort of sit too close to the edge here. They sit really close. So if you just make sure that's not too bulky there, and then repeat it for the other side. Now I'm just going to glue this ribbon. I don't really know what it is, but it's really pretty. And I'm just going to glue that over the join just to neaten it up a little bit. I'm back on the old glue because I decided I didn't like the other one. It was very hard to squeeze. Oops, so that was off camera, but all I did was just run a bead of glue all the way down. And then I'm going to place it over that join. Some hooks, clamps, and then just fold this onto the inside, this excess piece. Alright, now I'm going to glue in the cover, and when I did a really dodgy cut and cut this, I actually cut into the pages, so the first couple of pages fell off, so I'm going to glue down onto the title page, which is a bit of a shame because I wanted to be able to still see all that. But I'm just going to place it in and just try and get it to fit. Okay, so it's sometimes a little bit hard to get past these little bits right in the corner, which is what I was saying before about trying to keep those as low as you can. But that seems to fit okay. Okay, so I'm just going to find the center where I want the book. And then I'm going to put Mod Podge all over this front page. Okay, then pull that cover over, and then just go through and check again that it's all lining up and that you're happy with the position. And then do it again on the back. You don't need to put any on the spine. Now I just got books from like a charity store that were really cheap and, you know, probably nothing that people are really going to read anyway. But if you want to do this on a really good book that you like, practice a few times first. It's probably best to just give the books a new life as decorations rather than books. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So now I'm just going to put that down. I'm going to put a heap of books on top of it and just keep it nice and flat, and let that dry in there, and it's finished. So you've still got all your pages and everything. You can see it's a real book, but it's so pretty, and I love this texture.